Hey, everybody. It's Susan from Homeschooling Supermoms and Devin from Professional Home Educators. We
And
want
house calls if you're on the YouTube, depending on where you
absolutely,
are.
absolutely. So we are the admin for your homeschooling or for your Facebook groups, and we are so excited to be here with you tonight. We want to talk about homeschooling curriculum, and Devin's going to be the lead in this conversation tonight to help out new mamas as well as seasoned mamas. And if seasoned mamas have joined us tonight, or seasoned dads, because Professional Home Educator has men and women in it, feel free to drop us a comment, and let us know your best tips or things about
Yeah.
curriculum. We'd love to hear from you, and also drop us a greeting. We love to interact with you. So
And when we talk about the teaching styles, if you do a certain teaching style, drop a note in the bottom and put your resource in there. Put what type it is, like if you do classical, and then put your resources in there so mamas can see what's out there. So
absolutely, absolutely. So I want to introduce you guys to Devin because I'm not sure if everyone is familiar with her. Um, Devin is a 17-year experienced homeschooling mama. Now, Devin herself went to public school. So if you have kids that have gone from public school or private school and they're now being homeschooled, Devin can relate to that and gives you
yeah,
ideas and some suggestions on that. And then if you are homeschooling from the very start all the way through, she's a great resource for you on
yeah,
that as well, because that's how she's done it for her own kids.
yeah.
So no matter where your children are coming into the homeschooling environment from, Devin's a fantastic resource for you. She is an inspiration to all of us because, like I said, she does a great job. She's a wealth of information when it comes to homeschooling. She has a cover school that helps to support
Mhm.
parents. She does homeschooling house calls for
Yep.
those parents that are maybe needing a little extra support one-on-one and assistance in homeschooling. She runs Facebook groups. She's got a YouTube channel. She's just a wealth of information. So I am so excited to introduce you to Devin Basco.
Now, okay, yeah, and I love curriculum. I love talking curriculum. Um, I'm gonna repeat some of the stuff we did last week. If you haven't watched it, you can find it in your group, or you can find it on the YouTube channel. YouTube channel is probably the easiest place to find it. I might drop the link under here today. Um, it's just easier than digging through Facebook. But we're going to talk a little bit about how to narrow down curriculum. But I'm going to start with giving you just a little bit. Last week we talked about where to find scope and sequence and what you should be teaching your children. And we talked about assessment. And I wanted to go over those just a minute, not to talk in detail, but just because I know there may be some new people this week. So I'm going to pull that up as soon as I realize where it is. I'm going to pull that up and go over real quick, and then everything else will be in the group. But I just don't want y'all to say later, I wish she had covered that.
Yeah, and while you're pulling that up, just to remind my group, Homeschooling Supermoms, you can see it in the thread, the post threads, but also you can go to the events area and look at the past events, and then I put the link to the videos in the
Yeah,
past events also, and
yeah,
Devin
I
does
do
that
that
too.
too.
Yeah, so that sounds great. So I'll hand it back to you, Devin.
Okay, so with assessments and testing. Now, the first thing you can do is look at your state laws. Some states do not require anything, some do. So you need to be aware of that. Here is a list. Let's see if I can make that bigger for just 1 minute. Here's a list of where to find some stuff. If you need these links, let me know. I can drop them later. But I wanted you to be aware of those because that usually ties in with curriculum. And let's see, where's the next one? And here's how to find what to teach. Now, I like people to go to World Book Typical Course of Study, or you can go to Scope and Sequence. You Google it, put it in the grade, put in your state, and it should pull something up. Those are the ones, but I like the World Book Typical Course of Study. I just think it's easier to read. And so that's about all we're doing there tonight, because I just wanted to go over those real quick because somebody will ask.
Yeah, so if any of you guys have any questions over scope and sequence or on standardized testing, this is a great time to ask. So feel free to put your questions in the comments area. And
Mhm.
Devin, we've already got a comment or a question, so I want to share that with you. Hey, Belinda, thanks for your question. Um, she used to pull her curriculum together herself, but just recently started AO. I wanted someone else to
That's
do
Alpha
more.
Omega.
I wanted somebody else to do more of the planning for me, but my kids don't like it as much. I would love to know if there is something else that plans out, but is.
Is a lot of hands-on.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
It's a lot of hands on.
One you can look at, I've heard a lot of stuff on Gather Round. It's a newer one. I actually watched a video this week and I was kind of impressed with it. Because I know you, PM me and remind me, and I will give you the link to look at. But I don't know that it's exactly like AO, but it's. I think it'll be something that you'll like. So just remind me, and I will let you know.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So we had another comment. And this info was in last video about that. The last video, Devin touched on a little bit on learning styles. She touched a little bit on a variety of different topics. Devin, help me out here with some of the
Okay,
different things we talked about last week.
what we talked about last week was how to start homeschooling. We went over how to find your state laws. We went over how to deschool and what's involved. We went over knowing what to teach. We stopped at curriculum because it's just such a big subject, and we didn't want to have like a 2-hour workshop. So you can find that in the YouTube channel. It's Homeschool House Calls. It is in a playlist called Professional Home Educator, but I will drop the link tonight for you to see.
Yeah, we're unable to drop links and things like that while we're
Right now,
actually on live.
because we're not
So,
actually in Facebook. We're on StreamYard, which is another service.
mhm.
So, but I will put that in tonight, and it's a very, I think it's a very good, I mean, a very good video. Okay, somebody said they love Gather Round. I was very impressed with what I saw. They really seemed to enjoy it. I watched a curriculum review online today. Not today, this week. Okay, so I'm going to go to my points. Susan will pay attention to the comments for me so I won't miss anybody.
Absolutely.
Let's see. Okay, so we're going to talk about, let me, you ever have those days? Okay, we're going to talk about how to narrow down your curriculum. Okay, and what you're trying to do is narrow down your choices, because when you first start homeschooling, or even if you're a veteran homeschooler, you have to narrow it down. There is so much out there you can get, and I know if y'all are new, you're going, oh my God, there's so many things out there. I'm overwhelmed. What do I do? It can be just too much noise. So we're going to talk about how to narrow this down. The first thing you're going to want to do is to ask yourself, do you want secular or do you want faith-based? That's where you start, because some people it matters, some people don't care. So this is the very first thing you're going to ask yourself, and you can get a piece of paper and you can write it out. Do I care? So once you pick those two, and most people can kind of pick those pretty quick, then you're going to find out, do you want it online or offline? And do you want a mix? At my house, we do a mix. Do you do a mix, Susan, when you
We
when
do
you're
a mix. Yeah,
homeschooling?
absolutely. We
Yeah.
do some straight at home. We do some co-op classes. We do some tutor, and then we do some online.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's going to be your choice. Then your third question is going to be, what's your budget? What do you want to spend? Now, when you're making your budget, if you're coming out of the school system, write down everything you spend all year long and consider that similar to your budget. Because you do, I mean, parents go, oh, I didn't have to, you have to pay things at public school and private school. Okay. That's just the truth. It's not,
Yeah,
you have to. So,
absolutely. Book costs, tuition,
yeah, gas,
uniforms for some people.
lunch.
Yeah,
So
after school care.
you have to have a budget and figure out what you can spend. Once you know those three questions, then you have a better idea what to look for, and you're not going to have sticker shock, because you have to remember you're buying the whole year. So, or there are some online that you can pay by the month, But if you're buying a hardback curriculum, it's going to be a whole year. So this will give you an idea of what you can spend, and then you go from there. That gives you, so it's like you're looking for something online and it says, oh, it's $1,000 and that's not in your budget, then you don't even look at that curriculum. And then you're not stressed and you're not overwhelmed and you're not freaking out. So
Absolutely.
that is my main thing on um, narrowing things down. Then, well, you want to say something? You
Yeah,
can
I was going to say,
say,
and maybe you're going to touch on this, Devin. When it comes to curriculum, there's all kinds of homeschool resale curriculum,
retail
Facebook
curriculum, yeah.
pages. I mean, you can go
In
to
person, eBay, Amazon. If you have a local homeschool group, post in there and ask if they have a resale group, or just say, "Hey, we're starting homeschooling. Do y'all have anything you can give me?" And mamas are great about sharing and helping out. And there's a lot of
absolutely.
free resources too, especially this time of year being in January. Um, I don't know that I would go buy a full curriculum in January. There are other things that you can use that can work and go toward that. So those are your thing. So then we're going to move our learning styles. Now these you probably heard of. There's let's see, I have it to scroll there.
Look at you,
I'm
Devin.
being techie today. So we've got, let's see, I missed the beginning, so now I have to wait for it to come around. There's like, let's see, is that the right one? I'm telling y'all, people. Okay, there's like logic where you're thinking with your mind and you're logicking, you're logicking, you're going through the puzzle. I'm telling you, that scroll is not working for me. So then you've got reasoning. I don't like this. I'm gonna have to go back to my other, you guys. I'm going back to my other slides. This one's irritating me. It's my ADD. Give me just a minute, because if I'm going to talk to you
And
about
while
it,
you're
I'm going to
I was
talk
gonna
to you
say,
about
you wanna
it.
pop that up, I'll talk
Yeah,
about,
yeah,
I think Devin calls it, like, the physical types of learning styles. There's also kinetic learning styles, that's kinda touchy-feely kind of learning style. There's all different kinds of styles, and that's something that you're gonna wanna do, is you're gonna wanna figure out what learning style that works best for your child. So that's something you're gonna wanna think about. There we go. There's your
there.
slide, Devin.
I'm telling you, I'm like, I can't do that. Okay, so you've got visual, pictures, images, spatial learning. This is where it's like you have to see it. It's like, my Juliana wanted to learn how to knit, and I couldn't figure it out. So I went to a class and actually saw someone do it physically, and I was able to learn knitting. And then I came back and taught her. She was too young to take the class. Then there's audio, like sound, music. There's verbal, which is words and in speech and writing and needing the words. I think I learned that way too. I need to see the words. Juliana is a verbal learner. She wants to see and hear. She likes lectures. She likes classes online. Logical, that's, you're doing reasoning and systems and making sense of it all. Social, you like to be in a group. I know somebody might think, oh, in homeschooling, there might not be social learning. There is. They're called co-ops. You just have to find them. They're kind of hard in 2020. There's solitary, where you can work alone and self-study. Juliana likes to do that too. She likes to work through things, and she's always learning. So right now she's learning coding. So those are your major types of learning styles. There are some resources. There are the Big What Now Book of Learning Styles by Carol Barnier. Excellent book. I have it on my shelf. Discover Your Child's Learning Style by Willis and Hodgins. The Way They Learn by Cynthia Tobias. There's also some links, and I will copy these and put them up. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do that. I'm going to put those in the comments later tonight, and so that you can go through there.
Absolutely. Hey, Devin, can you pop back up to that learning style slide
Yeah.
for just a second? Um,
Let's
so
see.
yeah, so you want to find out the best learning style for each of your different children, but keep in mind your kids can be a blend of these different learning styles.
Yeah, so definitely a blend, because Juliana does several.
And the other like I and I hope some mamas will drop some comments in below this live or the video. But one thing I have found, like for my daughter, some subjects it was easy for her. She just read about it, she absorbed it,
Mhm.
like history and reading and the writing and that kind of stuff. So she absorbed it, and she was a different type of learner for that one. But when it came to like the sciences and the math, she used those other learning styles, but
Yeah,
also added into that kinetic, that physical, where she needed to
yeah.
touch and feel. And so your kids can be a blend of learning styles, and
Mhm.
also it can depend upon the subject. So keep that in mind as you're
Yeah,
getting more and more familiar
don't be
with.
so bogged down that you can't move if something's not working.
Absolutely, and that's what's great about homeschooling, so that if you start out one way and you think your child is more of a visual learner for this particular subject, but then as you move through it and they're not quite grasping things, look at the other learning styles and maybe you need to incorporate some other things into that learning
Mhm.
style to kind of help further that child along. So mamas and parents that are watching this, have you found that to be true for your kids too, where maybe they're kind of a blend on the
Yeah,
different learning styles, and it may depend upon the subject. So
yeah.
let us know on that. And then,
Yeah, we have one comment. My daughter's very visual and a hands-on learner. So I mean that's like going two things. So I mean it works. I think it very much there's a blend that they're not going to be set anyway.
absolutely. You also have a
Um,
question, Devin. Did you see
yeah,
that?
yeah. Um, let's see. Question about curriculum. I have a daughter that has special needs. She is in the public school 7th grade, and she is testing at a 3rd, 4th grade level. I find that the assessment on that kind of correct.
But only on some of the things.
Yeah. Yes, I will help you figure out what curriculum to buy and how to start it. And if I can't, I do have some resources that some mamas who know even more than I do. And yes, we will just PM me and I will help you. I'm very, very happy to help.
Yeah, and like we said, your daughter might have be a certain type of
Preference.
learner for this particular subject, but you may
Yeah.
have to try something a little bit different over here
Yeah.
for other subjects.
Okay, let me look and see where we are. This is so much fun. Okay, so we talked about the learning styles and the resources. Okay. Okay. This part I'm gonna remember this. Remember that the curriculum is only a tool, it's not your master, it is your tool. A lot of times new homeschool mamas and even veteran mamas will start a curriculum and they are trying to finish it. It's not working and they're stressing out thinking they have to do everything in that book. No, you do not. It is your tool and you use it like a tool, but that doesn't mean it's going to, stand on your head and make you do everything. So please remember that no matter what you do.
Yeah, absolutely. And when it comes to your curriculum, like Devin said, you can mix in other things too. Like let us say it's a history book and you hit the topic of World War II and you find a really neat historical video that they can watch. It's fairly historically correct. Incorporate that in. And the other thing is,
Mhm.
don't forget about field trips. Field trips can make learning come alive. And field trips can be field trips to the library where it's free. Field trips can be to actual
Yeah.
places. So, use that to incorporate it in.
Uh, Okay. There. Did I make that bigger?
Yeah, you made it bigger.
Awesome.
That's
That's what I was
great.
trying to do. Okay, so teaching styles. When you're in homeschooling, you will hear these in the groups. They will talk about, oh, I'm looking for this type of resource. I'm looking for that type of resource. There are several different teaching styles. So, and these are not homeschool specific styles. They come out of the education system. I'm going to give you a little bit of a definition, but I'm not going to go into too far of a detail because next week I'm going to do some little short videos and try to maybe get some interviews with moms who use the style. These will be put on the YouTube channel. I'm not going to do them in the group or the group gets clogged and there gets to be too much. But I'm going to try to get it so that you can see resources and you can see different ones and how they work. There's classical. Classical has been around forever. It is basically set up. I think it even came from Romans times. Jennifer, tell me if I'm wrong. But they have 3 levels. The first level is you're learning facts. The second level, you're learning like now my mind went blank. I should have read it. But anyway, classical's been around forever. They have school systems that use this. It's probably the most one that is the most like a traditional curriculum that would come out of the school system. You'll have books, you'll have, just, typical textbooks. And then maybe not. When I started homeschooling, I used a book called The Well-Trained Mind. It had all 12 grades and had suggestions for each grade in there. And that's where I started. We used it. It's wonderful. It did not work for multiple children very well. It may with somebody else, but for me, it just did not. And I didn't know enough. I don't think I knew enough at that point. Yeah, Greek and Rome. See, I knew Jennifer would know. Okay, let's see. We got another question. I also have a 7th grade autistic test in 3rd, 4th reading. I buy in April for the next year. I would encourage her to take time off to help the child adjust to homeschooling with games and learning. And that's a good suggestion. But I
A really
will
good
make sure
suggestion.
she sees that when we go through the group later.
Yeah, so mamas, feel free to,
Yes,
leave tips
put
and
what you use in there.
encouragement.
Yes, we
Yeah.
need y'all. We need this help with each other. And if you use classical, let me know because sometimes I say things wrong. Classical in high school, I think you helps you prepare for college style. Yes, it is very rigorous. It's nothing wrong with it. I know for me personally, it didn't work when I started. I mean, I have 5 kids. It didn't work for me. I couldn't keep on top of it, but I might not have had a good resource at that time. I mean, if I'd had a community or that used it, then it may have been different. I did enjoy it, and I am using some of the stuff that I used with Cole with Elysia.
Right, and I
So
agree, though, in high school, though, it's a great way to do it because it does give them that
yeah,
more structure in preparation for college, so that was a
yeah,
great tip, so thank you for sharing that.
yeah. Let's see, what's the next one? Montessori. Now, a lot of times you'll hear that one. You'll hear of daycares that are Montessori, or you'll hear Montessori schools. It is not a home. It's not just none of these are homeschool education philosophies. Yes, I'm very, very big on transition and just having rest. So that was a good comment. So Montessori. Montessori is very much life focused. Came from, let's see, her first name. Where's my mind? Y'all, I studied this and went over my notes today, and it's like I went out of my mind. It is from Italy, and she does, let's see, life. We did preschool at home. I have it on the shelf. Setting a table. So somebody, if y'all do Montessori, y'all tell me because I don't know what happened to my brain. In fact, we may go on Google now. This is the day. I don't know what happened.
Yeah, and
All I can do is
my
laugh at
understanding of
myself.
Montessori is really kind of builds toward the child's interest, and it has a lot of interactive activities, and it's a lot of learning through
Beautiful.
play
Learning
and
how to
things
get
like that.
dressed, and they do have in Mobile. There was a school that went a little bit further up. This is where I wanted Cole to go before I planned to homeschool. We could not afford it. It was awesome. I went and toured, but we couldn't do it. I couldn't swing 2 kids. I could have probably swung just Cole, but I had Juliana by the time I graduated, so I just couldn't do it. But very nice, very, very well. It is a very nice and gentle homeschooling approach. Most of these are. Let's see. Charlotte Mason is huge in the homeschool community. She does living books. Very big on, instead of a textbook, you would use a book written by a professional. Like if you're doing biology, you're going to find a book written by a professional on that subject. Same thing for history. They don't want a lot of what she calls twaddle. So there's not busy work. You spend time outside. Sorry, guys. Let me see. Susan, you talk
Yes,
about Charlotte Mason. I've got to grab a cough drop, or this is just going to go south.
I'm gonna talk about unschooling
Okay,
because
talk about
unschooling.
unschooling.
When I first started homeschooling, I was thinking unschooling. homeschooling, what's unschooling? And so I started homeschooling about 4.5 years ago. And, unschooling, it's basically following the interests of your child. You do some discovery with them and where their interests lie, and then you build the curriculum around their interests. And you can use a blend. You can use a structured curriculum. You can
Mhm.
use videos. You can use field trips. But it's really exploring your child's interests and using those interests to help you build a curriculum that really becomes engaging for your
Mhm.
child. It's not necessarily following this really structured
Yeah.
program, but it's really following the interests of your child. But that doesn't mean you're not teaching them math. It doesn't mean you're not teaching them English and reading and
No.
history, things like that. But it's finding where their interests lie and then building those programs around those interests.
I think it's fascinating. I have met several people who are just they're fabulous, and I'm very impressed with what I've seen. Um, I had some groups, other groups talking about it today, and I just think it's fabulous. I think it's a great. I'm beginning to do a little bit of unschooling with history and science. I don't know how far I'll go, but I'm enjoying it.
And Tamika, who did a presentation just for us
Mhm.
earlier this week, she did a video in
Yeah,
both of our groups on
on
unschooling.
transitioning, yes, on
Yeah.
transitioning from a traditional homeschooler to unschooling, and it was a very good one. She also
Mhm.
did her homeschooling with Legos, so if y'all missed that one, you
Yeah,
need to go
that
that
was
one.
talk about a ton of fun. If you want to get creative with how you teach your child and use Legos, because I know almost all kids love Legos,
Oh,
that
yeah,
was
I
very
have
good.
so many ideas from there. Okay, so,
And I did not
traditional,
expand on Charlotte Mason if you wanted to expand
that
further on that.
Charlotte Charlotte Mason is like, no twaddle, no busy work, you do, um, high quality, you want what she calls them living books. There's nature study, there is, almost like, all gathering around together, not a lot of separation in subjects, maybe math and learning to read, but everything is kind of communal. But and, I mean, very gentle, and it's a very popular one. There are free resources out there. There's paid resources, and we'll talk about those. Let's see. Then we have traditional, which is kind of like what it sounds. It's what you would see in the public school system. Nothing wrong with it. Not a lot of homeschoolers will use it. They'll usually maybe start there and then move on. That would be like a Becca, Bob Jones, um, Apologia a little bit.
Yeah, and a lot of people move to this type of style, particularly for the high school years. As one of the people who have joined us tonight has mentioned, like that classical or that traditional are great ways to help prepare your child for the college setting. So a lot of
Mhm.
people in more in the high school years transition to
Charlotte
that.
Mason would have, like somebody said, homesteading life skills. Charlotte Mason would be big on life skills. It's a very gentle one. Let's see, what else have we got? Waldorf. I have friends who have done this one. Very arts and crafts, natural arts, not like what we think of preschool arts and crafts. These are like using the real stuff, fiber arts. I have not seen a lot of people teach with it. I do have one friend. I ought to get her to talk about Waldorf with me. I've seen some homeschooling pages now that you can actually order kits, but I think it's similar to Montessori, but not exactly. There's a little bit of twist. So that's one I don't know much about. Let's see. Unit studies. I have a workshop by Tamika on unit studies, and it is also on Black History Month. It is awesome. And she tells you and shows you exactly how to set up a unit study. So she's fabulous with that. And that is in my group. I don't think it's in Susan's,
Mm-mm.
but it will soon be on the YouTube channel.
Unit studies also are like more segmented, like you do them for only so many weeks, is my
Yeah. It
understandings.
will
And
be
they're
a month, maybe 2 months, not long term. It's like you pick one subject, you plan it out, you have everything that goes along with it. I've heard it called whole language study too, or whole language education. When I was a teacher's assistant way back in the day, um, I read magazine articles on that because I kind of used it in the classroom. Um, so it was like everything went around one subject. It's like if they're interested in horses, everything goes around horses. Your math is going to use horses as examples. Your science is going to be on horses anatomy. Your history is going to be on how long have men used horses and what have they been used for. Somebody said they're studying Native Americans. You would do, let's see, your English would be writing papers or doing stuff with horses. So everything would go around there. You might, I don't know, make recipes that horses eat. I don't know. I'm like, anything you can think of that goes for horses. So it's
They
real
like sugar cubes.
sugar cube.
You
Maybe
can taste
apple.
the sugar cube.
Yeah. At least he would like that. But right now she's into sea life, and I don't want to eat what fish eat. Can't do that.
Try caviar.
Well, no, I've had caviar. I could eat that, and I could eat salmon, but that, I don't know. Look, I'll tell y'all, Lucy can eat her weight in salmon. She's an expensive kid. Okay, Reggio Emilia, I have nothing for y'all tonight on that because that is one I had never heard of until I made these slides. But it's a thing. And then there's eclectic. Eclectic's the fun one and probably where all the homeschool mamas end up because you end up using what you like. So you're trying out Charlotte Mason. There are parts you like, parts you don't. You move on to something else. You keep the parts you like and you try something else that, and so then you end up like me and you have all sorts of stuff. I mean, we have like a huge eclectic mix. And that's what will happen if you continue to homeschool. I mean, you may not. I have a friend who did classical all the way through, and you might not, but most homeschool mamas become eclectic. So that has gone over most of what we were covering tonight.
Yeah, so let us know if you have any questions
Let
or
us know what you
or
use.
tell us what style you're using.
What are
When
you using? Yeah.
yeah, so tell us your teaching style. What are you using in your homes? And
Well,
like we said earlier,
um,
any tips or ideas, things
yeah.
that you want to share with other moms, this is a great time to do it because we're here to help one another and support one another
Look,
and have idea exchange.
tonight I completely lost my train of thought. So we are real moms.
We are real moms. We are
You're
real
wrong.
homeschool
Baby
moms.
Kirsten, I want to know what you're covering on Native Americans. What are y'all doing with Native Americans? You're doing the whole semester. You're like doing different tribes, or you just, I mean, what are y'all doing? How old are you kids? Yeah, you become eclectic. That's what happens. I'll tell you what we're doing. Okay, I just now we're January. We're switching some of our curriculum, not everybody's, but Gabriella was very unhappy with her science. It was traditional. We don't usually use traditional, but I thought I found it at a Goodwill, and I thought she would be happy. It was $2 for the whole set. It had the lab book, it had textbook, had everything. It was ninth grade physical science. I thought she'd like it because she likes to read. I mean, Juliana likes that kind of stuff. Mm-mm. I'm having tears. She does not want to do it. And so I just at December, I said, okay, just put it up. We'll switch in January, which obviously we had COVID. We did not start school in January, but we're going to the Great Courses Plus, and she will have to watch quite a bit, but she will go through it and she'll have enough to get like a general science. If I can find something on physical science, she might get a physical science, but she'll also have to write essays. So she's not just going to watch TV and get a credit. She does have to do work for it. And that's what we're doing. Okay, she's doing each tribe, writing papers, science, and hopefully lots of field trips. That is what I would love, is to do lots of field trips.
Yeah.
So,
We're talking about curriculum and ideas and learning styles and teaching styles and things like that. And I only homeschooled my youngest, and we were in the public school system. I have 3 kids. One went to public school, one went to private school, and my youngest went to public school, private school, and then moved into homeschooling. And so when we moved into homeschooling, at first I was like, well, there can't, what curriculum's out there? I mean, what are my options? I just was like at a total loss
Mhm.
because it was really kind of a quick decision for us. Not for any reason other than she wanted to be homeschooled. She really wanted to grow in certain areas and then slow it down in other areas to really get that foundational
Mhm.
information. And I was like at a total loss as to what in the world, what curriculum could possibly be out there. And as you start digging it, so if you're new to homeschooling and you're not aware that there's a ton of curriculum out there for you, there is. There's a ton of curriculum. It doesn't matter whether it's preschool, elementary, middle school, or high school. There are tons of options for you. If you're unfamiliar with where you can find curriculum, you can tap into Devin or me. You can tap into your fellow parents within the groups, people that you meet and their other homeschoolers. Tap into them as resources because they're really going to give you some great information. I learned a ton from fellow homeschooling moms. Devin, Diane, that's a mutual friend of Devin's and mine.
Yeah.
Just tap into your other resources. And then I never dreamed use curriculum, people resell it and make it available. And homeschooling
Yeah.
parents are usually very generous and very flexible, and they really discount it. And there's a huge marketplace. Lots of local groups offer the option to purchase homeschooling curriculum use, and it's convenient because it's local. But also, you can use it's called Homeschool Marketplace
Mhm.
that has like all tons of different homeschool families, and they sell used curriculum there. eBay is an option,
Yeah.
all kinds of things. So tap into your other fellow homeschool parents, consider used curriculum, but do evaluate and assess it to make sure it's a good fit. Sometimes your curriculum can be outdated. If that's okay with you, like an
Mhm.
earlier version of it, if that's okay with you, then great, go for that. If you want a newer version, go for that too. If you want more structured programs, great. If you want to blend your learning, using something as a solid piece of curriculum and put field trips in and other things, I mean, that's great too. So, like I said, when I started homeschooling, I thought it had to be this really structured program. And where am I going to go?
Mhm.
And I'm going to have to make school at home like public school or private school. And really, you have tons of flexibility and can choose from a wide variety of curriculums.
Yeah, there's lots. We had a question.
Mhm.
Okay. I was wondering what that was about watching videos and how you grade on that. I find that my autistic child doesn't watch a lot of videos with interest, and I'm confused how to teach her. Um, I'm going to contact you. We'll help you figure that out. The thing is that there's so much out there. Watching videos may not work for her, but there will be something else that works. I would start observing how she likes to do things now. Like, if is she into Legos? Is there something she's really into? Start maybe just making notice. Watch her while she plays. What does she gravitate to? There's game schooling. There's just lots of stuff out there, and we can with a little bit more information, we can actually get you some resources and get you somewhere started.
Yeah, so game schooling is a really cool thing too, where you learn through
Yeah.
games and things like that. That is a really neat way. And you don't have to incorporate videos in.
Hmm.
Just some kids, they like that to kind of
Yeah.
pull in maybe some of the history or the science
And
and
I
things
will
like
say
that.
that mine, because I was talking about changing her science. She's in ninth grade. I'm like, she's in ninth grade. She's there's no learning issues. It works for her. But I have other kids who may not work that well. So it's just trying to find what works for your child. She very much likes to read, but what she was reading, it was just, I don't know what was happening. It was just causing issues. Everything else she was doing good with, but
Yeah, and for newbie mamas, another thing that when I was a newbie mama into homeschooling, and like I said, I homeschooled through the older years,
hmm.
and I did not know that it is not unusual for people to have to change curriculum.
Yes,
So
that is a
be
very
aware of
usual
that.
thing.
Yeah, don't get upset with your kids if
It's
all of a sudden you buy
okay.
this fabulous looking curriculum and it's
And
everything you wanted it to be, and
and
then all
that's
this.
why this time of year, I would say, in fact, we could go through some free ones. we could go through some free ones and give you some suggestions for January. I would look at free first. Don't throw your money into the eBay. There is Easy Peasy All in One is free. They have both that one and Easy Peasy High School. So those are free resources that have a full year curriculum. I would start them around 90 days at the day 90 mark around you. I mean, you can look if they're doing biology, you can look there and see where it is. But that's a free one. Khan Academy is free.
Mhm.
Who else is free?
I was going to say one of the curriculums I loved was Easy Grammar. Now it's not free,
Easy. Not free, but
but
it's
it's
for
not,
cost.
yeah, and but it's not expensive. At
Yeah,
least I bought it used. It was very, very
yeah.
inexpensive, and that's a great program, but it is not a free program.
Yeah. Well, Khan Academy has math, it has language arts, their history, not really for younger grades, but for older grades, there's history and sciences. Those are video based. If you can't do a video, you can, if you Google the grade and say math textbook, you may find a hardback text like public school text out there. So there, I mean, there are ways to find things. You just have to kind of know the tricks and know what to Google.
Absolutely. And the other thing you might want to consider, again, I homeschooled the older years of school,
Mhm.
and I'm science is not my forte, and teaching
Yeah,
math is not my forte. And so you can find co-ops. There's different types of co-ops. There's free
yeah.
co-ops. There's co-ops for a fee. You can
Mhm.
have homeschooling as a group trade off as parents. But, so the thing to think about is, if are there certain subjects that you're not, that are maybe not your forte, that
Yeah,
you
you can
are.
outsource.
Absolutely, you can outsource it. Co-ops, tutors, all kinds of exchange, parents and topics that are your forte that you want to teach. So, keep that in mind too, that you don't have to teach all of your curriculum.
Yeah.
You know,
And there's OutSchool is not free, but I mean they have all sorts of subjects and a lot
absolutely.
of teachers who can do that. I mean, I do that with our grammar and language arts. Gabrielle is doing online classes, so there. I mean, there's lots of stuff out there and lots of free, lots of
Yeah,
low cost. Time
right.
for Learning, Moby Max, um, Easy Peasy's free, and it goes all the way up to bye, mamas. If there's
Yeah.
no more questions, we can wrap up for tonight. Do we have
Yeah. So, are there
everything?
any more questions on anything? Again, let us know some of your favorite curriculum that you've
Or
been
your
using.
resources? Yeah, let us know
Yeah,
what
free
you
or inexpensive, or, even if it's expensive, but you've just fallen in love with it and just found it as amazing resource. The other thing, Devin, we've got an amazing resource coming up really soon
we
that's going to
do.
be a jam-packed with free stuff for
Oh
parents
yeah,
through the Blessings program, which you and I will both be sending out emails to our email lists and,
yeah,
and
we
our
will
and our
do
Facebook groups. But Blessings does a couple, what, 4 or 5 different
different
uh,
bundles during
bundles
the year.
each
Yeah,
year. Yeah, and it's jam packed full of free
it'll
stuff,
be
and then
free and free
also
curriculum and
discount codes for content. We'll be sending that out to everybody on our email list too. It's not coming out yet. We don't get the information ahead of time, so we can't really tell you a lot about it. But other than it's coming.
when we get it, we will show you.
Yes, yes, and it will be coming, I think that's getting released in February, so
Yeah.
keep your eye open for the communications on that free resource too. Oh, we
Yeah.
have a great workshop coming up tomorrow also in both of our groups, that is on data privacy, what you need to know to protect you and your kids when on the internet. It's being taught by an IT, an internet, and network expert. And so we hope that you'll join us for that. It's live tomorrow at 2 p.m. Central,
Yeah.
but you can also watch the recording also if that's not a good time in your homeschool day.
Yeah, yes, it will be recorded. It will be in the groups, and I think it's going to be good.
Yeah, yeah, I'm really excited about it. So, Devin, thanks so much for all this
Yeah,
information
I
tonight on
know.
curriculum. And mamas, if you're new or seasoned and you'd like us to do a workshop on a specific topic, by all means, drop us a comment because we love your ideas and we want to help out and we want to respond to your
Yeah.
questions. But again, Devin, thank you so much for the information
Y'all have
on
a wonderful
curriculum.
day, and we will see you tomorrow.
Thanks, everybody. Bye for now.